In this video, it's road trip time in Foxanne. We are heading all the way to Yorkshire from here on the Welsh West Coast. You may just about be able to see it in the distance. Yeah, 200 miles. We better get moving. Well, come with me as we adventure on. Bit chilly. I'm going to be putting my gloves on because it is quite bloody cold this morning. It's very cool here in Foxanne. Let's fire up. And lights on because it's so gloomy, and away we go. Naturally we have left home already, so she's got to warm up a little bit, but I would say she's not all that warm in here. And the best thing about this collection caper is, well, it's not, I suppose it is a collection caper. I'm taking Foxanne to Yorkshire, where a Reliant specialist is going to fettle her to better health than she's currently in. I'm very good at getting cars working. I'm not very good at getting them working well. So just hitting the dizzy heights of 60 miles an hour there. So I'm going to take it to someone who can do a good job, like I did with Giselle the GSA when I took her to Chevronics. And Giselle is part of this trip. It's a collection caper because I'm collecting her from DFTR Automotive, where she's been since the NEC Classic Motor Show. So that'll be in the next video. That'll be collecting Giselle. So we're in for a really busy week. There's a lot going on this week. Hoping to get Myrtle MOT'd, the Matiz, hoping to get Ellie back on the road, and then we got some major gallivanting to do this weekend. Oh, we've taken the road surface away. I have to remember I'm not in a Citroen. We come through the little town of Reliant. But yeah, I've had some people go, why can't you do the work Foxanne needs? And I think anyone who's watched my videos for a while knows, you know, I do know enough to get cars working, but I'm not very good at extracting the best from them. And a bit of specialist attention, people who work on these cars day in, day out, know all the cheats, know how to set them up perfectly. It can be worth visiting them. So we'll see what a difference they can make. There's a fair bit of work to do. Front suspension, rebush, new shockers. I mean, those are jobs I could arguably do myself. But again, if you've done the job before, you've probably got some tips and tricks to make that go more smoothly. Chap doing the work is called Adam, of the Reliant Owners Club. He's been a superb help throughout the Foxanne project from the very, very start. No matter what sort of time of day or night I was messaging him with queries, he would reply with excellent instructions. So he was instrumental in getting this car back on the road. He even supplied some parts free of charge. So I thought it's about time I returned the favour and actually paid him to do some work on this car to make her as good as she can be. And yeah, we should carry on. We've got 200 miles to cover. It's going to be a loud, quite noisy day. Got the run up to Aberystwyth to start us. Then I think we'll be up to Oswestry, onto the M56, take us onto the M6, M62, and we should arrive in Wakefield sometime early afternoon. Currently about 9:30 in the morning, I think. A fun fact, we've just reached the town of Llanrusted, and it's where another fox used to live. That fox is now with Up and Down Videos down in Fareham, near Southampton, who did the work on Betty when she came into the country. And yeah, it's quite amusing because that car, I'd seen it many years ago, also sludge green, the same colour this one was, before I repainted it myself. But the owner used to work on the Vale of Rydal Railway, used to do a bit of contracted engineering work, very talented engineer. He fitted a Fiat engine at one point to his, but I believe Up and Down Vids has decided that's a project too far and is wisely having a bit of a clear out. But that Fox is available, I think. I don't think he's sold it yet, so speak to Up and Down Vids. You could be a Fox owner too. Yeah, we're on the A4 120, one of my favourite roads. road from Aberystwyth to Devil's Bridge, a handy cut through to get on the A44. Oh yeah, this car turns in so well. You always have to remember it's a bit like a Morris Minor. Really nice front end with excellent rack and pinion steering, but just a simple, very badly located leaf sprung rear axle. So you have to bear that in mind. Try and just keep the power on a bit. Oh yeah, what a great little car on a great road. It's so cold though, I think I'm going to have to stop and put my coat on. So here we are in Devil's Bridge. If you want to know more about Devil's Bridge, head to the Miss Hubnut channel. We came here, we had a mooch around, we got the punch bowl is down here, where water can come thundering through down at the bottom, and you can walk right round this entire waterfall complex. There are 3 bridges, this is the topmost one. So yeah, you can do that. Right, I'm going to put my coat on and carry on. Oh. So in another phase of life, I used to live here in Devil's Bridge. It's a marvellous place. The roads around here are just incredible. And the views as well. It's not the clearest day today, but you're just surrounded by hilltops. It's, yeah, a little bit of paradise. Yeah, what it means by the rear axle not being located very well, it's only held in place by the leaf spring, so it responds very badly to side loads. The axle can actually move around from side to side. That's why some cars, Rover SD1 has a Panhard rod. I think Betty actually has a Watts linkage, like a Reliant Scimitar. It's all designed just to hold the axle where it should be on the car. It just means it can be a bit unpredictable, but it's fine as long as you treat it with care. Lift off oversteer is the biggest danger, and you just got to be wary of punting it in too hard into a bend. We're now approaching the town of Llanidloes, which is where I had my first storage unit. So where I parked my life up while I went to New Zealand and Australia. And an amusing fact that I can't remember if I've recounted this before or not, but the unit I was in was previously used by Electrek classic cars. I've driven a couple of their cars, the Volkswagen Beetle and the Fiat 500. And I'm well overdue a catch up with them. Since then, they've gone on to much greater things. They have a new, very impressive unit in Newtown, and undertaking several projects at once. I did catch up with Richard, who runs Electrek classic cars at the NEC very briefly, and I must head up there for a visit. Electrek classic cars featured in the Vintage Voltage TV programme quite often. Johnny Smith, because of his love of electric cars, has paid them several visits as well. So yeah, we'll try and make that happen. Well, I've stopped at a roadside cafe just before Welsh Pool. We're up to about 60 or 70 miles now, I think. Yeah, about 70 miles since leaving home. I've got a proper cup of tea in a mug. It's a nice dark colour. This isn't a full grub nut, but if you head to the Hubnotes channel, we are sort of reviewing cafes where we travel. So they're called, sorry, Hub Grub they're called, not Grub Nut. Grub Nut would probably be better, but Hub Grub is what we've called them. But I'm just having a cup of tea and a Mars bar. And an interesting fact about Mars is they took over the factory that used to make Citroens in Slough. So there you go. Oh, that doesn't stop. I've got the heater going, but frankly it's not making a fat lot of difference. But the mug of tea was nice and warm in the hand, so that was good. Put on the lights, wait for this big lorry to go past. Cool. What's that about, Foxanne? come on, you can't have got that cold. I've already packed up a few minutes. There we go. The wipers are getting steadily worse. The one your side, I'm afraid, is doing an incredibly bad job. It's a fairly new wiper blade I nicked off Myrtle, but I think the spindles are starting to have so much wear that they're struggling to press the blades onto the windscreen. Fortunately, the one on my side is still doing a good job. So that's a job we're going to have to tackle at some point. But 134 miles to go, so we better keep on going. We haven't even got halfway yet. We're a couple of miles down the road. She seems to be running okay now. I think she was just a bit spluttery because maybe I took her by surprise getting underway so quickly. She does tend to like a bit of warm-up time. And yes, you may have noticed I accidentally knocked the main beam on. That's very easily done with this stalk, which isn't great. It may not look different, but we have made it to England. We are just approaching the town of Pant, which is just over the border, but we actually cross back into Wales again, up near Wrexham, where I got the Fiat Multipla from, and then we cross back into England again. So the border crisscrosses this road. Foxanne's still going okay. The cars in front have been trying to kill each other and generally failing at overtaking tractors, but we got there in the end. Here we come. The little village of Pant, home of the Pant Memorial Hall. We're approaching actual dual carriageway. This is quite exciting. We're going to get to overtake this lorry in front of us, so you probably can't see because the windscreen's so filthy. There he goes. Go Foxanne! We are cruising at 60 miles an hour. It's not quite as relaxing as being in Betty de Fairmont. But that's it, we're about halfway now. 100 miles to go, 100 miles covered. Foxanne has hit 94,000 miles on this trip, so well done, Foxanne. We're here at Lim Services. There's particularly unpleasant lunch at a Costa, and little Foxanne's over here. We'll just check the oil. Adam suggests that if you're running at high speed like I just have been, it might be an idea just to check the oil level. So not the easiest job on Foxanne because you've got this silly bonnet with the bonnet pins, but bear with while I just lift that out of the way. There we go. Grab the dipstick. Yeah, I'm going to have to give that a wipe, but it looks like it might have dropped a bit, so we'll check that before we go. Oh, well, if you think petrol is expensive, and it's 167.9 for unleaded here, that's nothing compared to a litre of 1540 oil. That's not thick enough really, but they haven't got any 2050, nowhere stocks 2050. It's going to have to do today. That was £17.50. Cheapest. I mean, that's almost as bad as printer ink. So let's whip the bonnet off again, move that over there, and we'll have a check on the dipstick. Cool. So thanks to Adam for making me check this. It does seem that when you're thrashing on poor little Foxanne, the result is you get a tiny blob of oil on the end of your dipstick. So that's not good. I apologise for the beeping in the background. There's people moving machinery around. So I think I'm going to need most of this 1 litre of oil. Maybe electric cars aren't so bad, you know. I'm going to bother with all this faff. Right, let's have the bonnet off completely. Let's rest that down there. I'll pour in a glug of oil. You can't see any of this. Can I tilt you down? There we go. So oil goes in here at the top. I think she's going to need most of that. I am aware she does produce a bit of blue smoke every now and then, so I suspect the valve seals, SEM seals, are a bit tired. But yeah, high revs. She does seem to like quite the drink of oil. That's got her onto the minimum. I think we're going to be glugging all of that in. Yeah, let's just check the lot in. That's up. Hopefully that'll be enough. Plonk that back on there. That's the breather as well as the filler. Alright. Yeah, there we go. I think that's got us where we need to go. So that's added to the cost of the journey somewhat. Yeah, it's only still only got her halfway, so I think we'll take it easy from this point on, and we'll continue our way to Wakefield. I was just about to say, I've cleaned the windscreen so you can see better where we're going. I've just realised how bad a job I've done of that. Give the middle of the screen a bit of love. There we go. It's all just salt, really. That's the state of my tissue after wiping the salt off the windscreen. I find it better to actually do it dry rather than try and use water to do it. But there we go. Right, we still have an hour and 9 minutes to go, 64 miles. So we better crack on. Put some lights on. I've just cleaned the lights as well because they were practically opaque. We'll need to get some fuel, but we're certainly not going to buy it here. Not at £1.67, having just been ripped off £17.50 for 1 litre of oil. That's appalling. And ever onwards we go. Let's keep the speed down a bit, perhaps. Try and keep some oil in the engine. I will concede it's quite a bit quieter keeping the speed down to 50, 52-ish rather than 60, 62-ish. And I don't think it's necessarily taking all that much longer to cover the distance. I mean, sure, it's the difference in 10 miles for every hour of motoring, but that assumes you're keeping a constant speed up, and quite often you're not, because there's junctions and things. So after all, trucks manage to get all over the country and they're limited to 56 miles an hour absolute tops. I suspect this one in front of us, this Safeway lorry, a bit less. Yeah, just take it easy, save some fuel, and hopefully it bereaved. This is a big old climb. She's sitting steady at 50 miles an hour. There's more can be said for some of the trucks. They're struggling up this one. Big old incline. I forget what this hill's called, but I think we'll find out in a minute. But what's that sign there? Oh, Yorkshire Roads. We are into Yorkshire. She does feel a fair bit happier at this reduced pace, to be fair. Here we go. It's the highest motorway in England. 372 metres. That's 1,221 feet. M62 summit. So you do feel like we're in the middle of nowhere now. All those trucks will come back past me again the other side. All very bleak upon moors. Another 29 miles to go. Oh yes, this is a section where it splits and then a farm appears. There's a farm in between the carriageways, and in the edit suite I'll look at what the story is behind it. The myth is that the owner refused to sell up, so they just built the motorway around him, but I have a feeling that's not actually the case. There we go. Would you fancy living there? I must admit, it doesn't look very lived in. Maybe they gave up. I just stopped for fuel, came off the motorway, and super unleaded was cheaper than motorway normal unleaded. So yeah, mightily impressive, the old motorway prices. Now running on Shell V-Power, woohoo! But yeah, we are all Yorkshire like up here, and still got 9 miles to go. Wasn't quite going to make it. Didn't want to run out of fuel on the motorway, so thought we'd come off and find somewhere cheaper. And of course, rewarded by them saying their toilets aren't open because of lockdown. I hadn't realised that was one of the government stipulations, that toilets should be made unavailable. That's marvellous. There's about just over 20 litres, I think 22 litres I managed to get in. And she's done probably 240 miles on that. So that's a touch over 45 mpg. I don't think we're quite hitting 50, but I suppose I was ragging her along the motorway a bit. So not bad going at all. Right, well, I'm going to wrap this one up here. We have made it to Yorkshire, and I'm running out of microphone, so I better end it, I think. And yeah, next stage we'll be getting down to Dudley in the West Midlands to collect Giselle, and that'll be tomorrow's little adventure. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this, and yeah, the busy week continues. An awful lot still to do. Traffic lights just changed, which means I can quite safely say, yeah, thank you for watching. Don't forget to head to the Hubnut store if you want. We've got Foxanne mugs, few Foxanne t-shirts, not many left, but Foxanne mugs we got a good stock of. And I just noticed there's a Daihatsu sign at the dealership we're just about to pass. That's quite funky. And yeah, I shall see you in a future video. Farewell. I'm not going to pursue. You can have a look at the Daihatsu sign as well. I think you'll be able to see it from there. Look at that, Cross Keys Garage, Daihatsu and Isuzu. Maybe just see if they can get any Daihatsu Charade engine. That'll be good.